It is ultimately important for you to look at your goals, truly what you want to do in your life, and then look at the people who you spend the most time with in your life and figure out if that lines up.
All right. What's happening? Good morning, guys. It is Friday at 7:30 a.m. the day after Thanksgiving. We'll see if anybody's actually up and at 'em this morning. It's Friday, November 29th, guys. Day after Thanksgiving. Hopefully everybody had a great day with their families yesterday, and everybody is relaxing in some degree today. So I wanted to talk about this topic. It's been one that's been on my mind, and I've been trying to figure out how to weave it in here. But, this one is the one that I believe is holding most people back in the world. And I want to cover it. I want to read some things to you guys that have been read to me. And I want to share some of the knowledge that I've gained over the years about this particular thing and how it has impacted my life, being in this situation or believing what I used to believe before I got to this point of kind of training myself to not believe that type of stuff anymore. So the title of the show is Average is the Enemy. So I want to read to you guys the actual definition of enemy. I looked it up this morning because everybody uses that word, but I'm not sure that we always understand in detail the words that we are using. So enemy has a couple different definitions. The main one that comes up says a person who is actively opposed or hostile to someone or something. That's not necessarily the enemy that we are describing here. But the definition that I'm talking about here when we say average is the enemy, it is a thing that harms or weakens something else. That's what we're talking about this morning. That is the enemy that we're talking about when we describe average. So when we talk about average, guys, I want to talk to you guys about what average does to people. And first, I'll start off by telling you guys that, for me, average in my life was never really an option, but I want to refer to what a lot of people suffer from, which is the disease of above average. So average is the enemy. Above average is also not too far off of that same exact description. So, for most of my life, I have been in a position where, I was pretty comfortable. I was doing pretty well. And, was always felt like I was in a pretty good place. So I was, above average by most people's definitions. And I would tell you that being in that above average position stole a lot of years of my life away, that I could have been more successful. I could have been doing more. But I was in that comfort zone of above average, of doing better than most. And that stopped me from doing a lot of things that I could have done. It probably took a lot of success away and has made me work harder in later years of my life because I didn't capitalize on those years that I could have when I was just doing a little bit better than everybody else. And so I wanted to talk about this topic because it's something that I'm really passionate about and I lived through in my own life. And I think that it will be impactful for a lot of people to think about exactly how they measure themselves. Do you measure yourself against other people, or are you measuring yourself against your real potential? And I think that that's the problem for a lot of people, is that if you look around in your own life and you're doing better or you're doing the same as everybody else, then you tend to think that that is, an okay place to be. That's the place that you're, supposed to be. It's all right. And I would challenge you guys to start thinking a different way about that, about your evaluation process there, and think about, what are you really capable of? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And that is, a difficult thing to get used to. It's not something that, you're ever going to be comfortable having a conversation about, because when we talk about our potential and what we're capable of compared to what we're actually doing, our potential is a long way off from where we are. And so it looks like a lot of hard work to get, where we're trying to go. So, but I want you guys to think about this. When you think about your impact that you want to make at the end of your life, when you look back, what do you want your impact to be? And I would challenge you to think about that in this fashion. Do you think that you can really make the true impact that you want to make in your life by being average or by being slightly above average? Or do you think that the real impact that you want to make comes from being exceptional? And realize this, guys, that being exceptional isn't something that you do when you get to a certain spot. So when I get here, I will start to be exceptional. When I am in this position, or I'm not working for anyone anymore, or when I'm, when I get this job that I want, or, when this person comes into my life, I'll be exceptional. Exceptional, guys, is a way of life. It's not a place that you go to when you reach a destination. It is something that you live. It's a decision that you make someday that you're no longer going to accept what everybody else accepts. And average is the enemy of that, is looking at other people, comparing yourself and saying that this is enough, that what I'm doing is better than everybody else, or it's just the same as everybody else, and accepting that. So I want you to think back to when you were growing up and you had a real passion for something, whether it be sports or a certain class in school, whatever that was that you had a real passion for. Maybe it was your family, maybe it was building stuff, maybe it was whatever it is. When you had that real passion for something, when you were a kid, that kind of passion. My son's 5 years old and he is super passionate about video games right now, about playing Mario, right? And his passion for that is unbelievable. There's not a whole lot that excites him more than that. And so when I look at him doing that, I think about my passion for what I do, and I ask myself, how does that compare? When you think about kids and their passion for having fun, that's the kind of passion that you have to have in your life, whether that be in your business, in your personal life, in your marriage, in your friendships, helping people. You have to have that type of passion to really be successful. And you will not have real success and fulfillment in your life by functioning in an average state. So some of the things that I wrote down here that I was thinking about this morning, how would you feel if someone described you as an average father, an average mother, an average friend, an average teacher, an average leader or mentor, an average coworker? Is that how you want to be described? And if it's not how you want to be described, then you have to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, what is it that's stopping you from being in the situation to be described differently from that? And so I was at an event where there was the following message that I'm about to read you guys was read, and it was incredibly impactful. And Ed Milet read this at the Arte event in St. Louis. And it stuck with me, and I wanted to share it with you guys. And it's called, Are You Average? I want you guys to listen to this very closely. And for those of you who need it, I would tell you to go back and watch the replay again to listen to this again. And you can actually Google, if you just take some of the words from this and Google it, it'll come up. I don't actually know who wrote this, by the way, but I copied and pasted it so that I could read it to you guys. Are you average? Average is what the failures claim to be when their family and friends ask them why they are not more successful. Average is the top of the bottom, the best of the worst, the bottom of the top, the worst of the best, Which of these are you? Average means being run-of-the-mill, mediocre, insignificant, and also ran a non-entity. Being average is the lazy person's cop-out. It's lacking the guts to take a stand in life. It's living life by default. Being average is to take up space for no purpose, to take the trip through life, but never to pay the fare. To return no interest for God's investment in you. Being average is to pass one's life away with time, rather than to pass one's time away with life. It's to kill time, rather than to work it to death. To be average is to be forgotten once you pass from this life. The successful are remembered for their contributions. The failures are remembered because they tried. But the average, the silent majority, is just forgotten. To be average is to commit the greatest crime one can against oneself, humanity, and one's God. The saddest epitaph is this: here lies Mr. and Miss Average. Here lies the remains of what might have been, except for their belief that they were only average. That is a lot to take in right there. And I would encourage you guys to think about that in every aspect of your life. And I think that no matter how successful you guys are at this moment, that what I just read right there, that will point out some areas of your life that you have some work to do on. And it does for me. It points out areas of my life that I know that I could do better. And this is a journey, guys. It's a long journey of thousands of miles that we have to go through life. And if we just continue to go through life thinking that average is okay and accepting everyone else's definition of what's right and what's okay, and we listen to those people that tell us not to work so hard and to just take a rest and just to do this and just to do that. And I'm not telling you there's not a time that you need to take a rest or that you need to back off, take your foot off the gas for a minute and, really take things in and take a break and recharge and all those things. I'm just telling you that you have to look yourself in the mirror and know when that is. Because too many people allow themselves the excuse of being average or slightly above average. And it will steal your life away, guys. It will steal your life away, and you will have a lot of making up to do. So the best time, as they say, the best time to plant a tree was yesterday. The second best time is today. So if you look at yourself in the mirror today and you start to think about the fact that maybe you are doing average things and you are allowing yourself to make a lot of excuses that you shouldn't be making, there's only one time that you can make a decision to change, and it is in an instant, right in that instant that you have that feeling. You make a decision. My wife always says, change takes time. No, change doesn't take time. Change happens in an instant. The results of that change take time. That's the truth. The change happens in an instant. You look yourself in the mirror and you say, I'm sick of this. Earlier this year, before I started 75 Hard, I looked at myself in the mirror and said, that's it. I'm done. I'm done living with these excuses. I'm done making excuses for everything that I can or can't do because I work too hard, because I spend too much time doing this, because everybody else tells me that I do more than everyone else. And that gave me the excuse that I used to be something that I shouldn't have been. And in that instant, I made a decision to change. And by the way, that you will make that same decision over and over and over again, because that decision you make to change does not create perfection. It doesn't create a change that lasts a lifetime. It's a constant battle to fight that change, to fight the force of everything in the world that is pushing against you towards being average. Everybody around you is trying to make you more average, more like them. Think about that. Everybody around you is trying to make you more like them. ask yourself, who, first and foremost, who are you surrounded by? And are those people qualified to give you that type of advice? Most of the time the answer is not, is no. They are not qualified. So I want you guys to ask yourself that question. I want to read you one line of that message over again, and we're going to close this thing out. Being average is to take up space for no purpose, to take the trip through life but never pay the fare, to return no interest for God's investment in you. Just live by that line, guys. If you can look yourself in the mirror and be proud of what you see, you are paying the fare and you're returning interest. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to help each other return some interest for God's investment in us. And I hope you guys got something out of this. I hope it turned a light bulb on for all you guys. I appreciate you guys jumping on. Dom Manzo, Judd, what's happening? Good morning, my brothers. Chris Thompson, what's happening, man? By the way, Chris Thompson can tell you when I got sick of feeling and being a certain way and took action, he was a guy that helped me through that time, my trainer during that time. Dean, what's happening? Good morning, Trisha. Chris, what's happening, brother? Man, we are excited to have you at the TCS Elite Group, man. And my wife is on here. AJ, what's happening, man? Good morning. For those of you who may not have seen, we posted our sales and operations mentorship programs yesterday, the online version of those programs. I know you guys probably think we're crazy. That program is typically $695. Actually, Sean Hines, who was on here, took that program live with me last year. It's normally $695, so call it $700. And we are giving it to everybody this Thanksgiving, this Black Friday, for $20 a piece. So you can get both of those programs for $40. Anybody that's watching this, you go to topcontractorschool.com and click on virtual training, and you'll be able to purchase both of those programs until midnight today for $20 a piece. So by all means, if you guys are thinking about making a move in your life, you want to do something better, there's a couple people on this stream that already took advantage of that program. But those programs have a lot of information in them. And they're not just for construction either. I mean, for $20, even if you're not in construction, I would say that investment is going to pay you enormous dividends in life. And I would encourage you to do it. Not because we need your $20, because I think it will do great things for you. And it will probably give you and I and everybody on our team at Top Contractor School a better relationship. So I would encourage you to do that. If you're thinking about making some changes going into 2020, improving your sales game, well worth the investment of $20 to go and do that. We were going to make it free, but we didn't want just anybody to go in there and not use the program, so we figured $20 was about as low as we could possibly go without making it free. So with that said, guys, I hope that this episode was helpful to you. It was helpful to me to put it together. And so don't be average, guys. Average is the enemy. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining me here Friday morning after Thanksgiving. I know you guys are probably all tired. Hopefully you're getting some rest. Maybe some of you guys are off work today. I got some work to do today, but it will not be a normal work day for me, but it'll be a day that we get some stuff done and make some things happen. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me this morning here. I love you guys, and I'll see you again Monday morning.